We made the cross-country flight. We've landed in Boston. We're talking Red Sox today, 2025 season preview. I'm William Locke, and joining me, as always, is Luis Barranco. Luis, how's it going?
Time to talk about the Green Monster, Dunkin' Donuts, Ben Affleck, The Departed, Matt Damon, all those famous Massachusetts. I'm not even going to try it. I was going to say Massachusettsans or whatever.
I don't know. I don't know. What the technical term is for someone that lives in Massachusetts. Bostonians, of course.
Shipping up to Boston.
I think the traditional phrase would be massholes, but we love our Massachusetts viewers, so maybe not going to use that term, even though they employ it very, very proudly. Very interesting team this year. Really good sports town. I mean, you got the Celtics. They won the championship last year. Pat's got Drake May. Vibes are high. I have no idea about the New England Revolution, and to be honest, I don't know about the Bruins right now either. But I do know that
Bruins are battling. I mean, I'm getting into hockey. I mean, the boys are getting into hockey because NBA is freaking unwatchable. At this point, Grizzlies put up 130 a game and still lose, and I get to hear about LeBron James and Luka Doncic every other 5 minutes on ESPN. So
Yeah, that trade, they are still squeezing content. I think they're going to squeeze content out of that trade for the next decade. As long as Luka's in the NBA, I think they're going to be talking about that trade. And honestly, rightfully so. But anyway, let's get to the Red Sox 2025 season preview. I think this is going to be an interesting one. They're in our division, or the Yankees division. A lot of optimism surrounding the Red Sox after the offseason they had. So, Luis, why don't you kind of walk us through exactly what they did? And I can maybe talk through the roster and what it's going to line up like.
From a level of 1 to 10, how scared are you of this team right now? Without getting into the roster.
I would give it probably 6.57, maybe. I think they had a good offseason, but I still think there's some question marks.
Interesting you think that. I think this team is a sleeping giant right now up there in Boston. I mean, those Bostonians have been sleeping for so long that it's only time for them to pop out the woodwork at this point with this team. This team looks electric. Let's get into it. I mean, Jared Duran at left field had a revolutionary year last year. He had a WAR of 6.7, got it together. Rafael Devers is your third baseman, your first baseman. Right now we have him listed at third. Alex Bregman at second, the big acquisition. Tristan Casas at first. Masataka Yoshida at left. Trevor Story at short. Willer Abreu in right. Connor Wong in the backstop. And then Cedeni Rafaela at center. Of course, it wouldn't be a Red Sox podcast without talking about their vaulted farm system, as I feel like we hear all the time. A couple of years ago, it was Yoan Moncada, Benintendi. Now it's Marcelo Mayer, Roman Anthony, and Miguel Beliz, who they're all due up. And one of Williams' favorite prospects, which doesn't fit Williams', typical things that he likes in a prospect, that they play good defense from Vanderbilt or they're a local product, like Kristian Campbell. That's one of Williams' guys, just putting that out there. And then in the rotation, you got Garrett Crochet, Tanner Hoke, Walker Buehler, Lucas Giolito, and Brian Bello. So a lot of new guys in the rotation. You got 3 new guys in there. And the bullpen, pretty good as well. You got Liam Hendricks coming back from cancer, so we can clap it up for that one.
Yep, that's a good story.
Good story to keep on. He's battling out with the closer job with Aroldis Chapman, who at this point is becoming an immaculate grid savant. They also got Patrick Sandoval coming up soon. He had internal brace surgery back June. And, man, I'm just telling you, this team's very deep. The one thing I will note is that they only have one lefty starter right now. Their other lefty starter would be Patrick Sandoval, but he's coming back from elbow surgery. But it's only one. Lineup is fairly balanced with lefties. You got about 5 lefties in the lineup. So it's going to be a problem to pitch to them. I mean, Alex Cora comes back for another season. I think you're a big Alex Cora guy. I'd like to think.
I think he's a good manager. I don't necessarily like him,
Top
but he
five.
is. Yeah, he's definitely a top 5 manager.
All right, so let's get into it. What are you feeling about this team? I think this team's super deep. Like with the addition of Bregman and all these prospects, I'm like, I know you're a big guy about saying, oh, prospects, they got to make it up. They gotta develop. We got to see what they happen. But they have enough ammo to get more guys, and it's Boston. You're a destination for a lot of players.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a really good job flipping the narrative this offseason. Heading into the offseason, it was a question of if this ownership's willing to spend money. And early on in the offseason, when they missed out on Soto, missed out on, Adames, or some of the other guys that missed out on Freed, they weren't in on him. Missed out on Corbin Burns. I don't think they were in on Adames, but missed out on some of the big free agents. There was frustration again amongst Red Sox fans, but then they picked it up and had an active offseason, ended up signing Bregman for, a 3-year deal with some opt-outs. So that was a win, undoubtedly. They did a good job. They also brought in Walker Buehler as a free agent and obviously traded for Garrett Crochet, and then signed Aroldis Chapman and Justin Wilson. They also signed Patrick Sandoval, who you mentioned, but he's injured. He got that internal brace operation in June. So very active. I like I said, I still think there's question marks. I think there's more question marks than people realize with Boston right now.
All right, enlighten me, because I am smoking on that, and I am high on that Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
Kool-Aid right now.
And everyone in baseball media right now, I think, is kind of drinking the Red Sox Kool-Aid, and fair enough. I think they're certainly going to be better than they have been the past few years or so. But when I think of question marks with this team, I see a lot of guys that had either career year last year. I see a lot of guys that had, career years last year, that are going to have to bounce back, that maybe aren't necessarily proven long-term to have, success in the major leagues. I think of Jarren Duran, great year last year, was an all-star. We'll see if he can continue that form. Cutter Crawford, Brian Bello, Tanner Houck, a lot of those guys in the rotation. They had a really good rotation last year. They finished 7th in ERA among starters. I think there's a question mark there if those guys can return. Can Garrett Crochet? I think Garrett Crochet is probably the most sure thing they have on their roster in terms of pitching. Walker Buehler, he's a guy, came back from injury last season, was not very good. There's some question marks on if he can be consistent this year. A lot of people are penciling him in for a 3-something ERA. I think that remains to be seen if he can bounce back and stay healthy. That's always been the biggest question with him. You got Liam Hendricks coming back from his cancer treatment, and obviously great that he is okay now, but he hasn't played baseball since 2023. I think there's some question marks there. You got 37-year-old Aroldis Chapman. I think there's some question marks there. And when you look again at the lineup, when you look at the lineup,
Okay.
you had Alex Bregman. He was a guy that early in the offseason, people weren't very high on. As the market progressed, people all of a sudden got super high on him. I think he's going to work well with the Green Monster. But last year was not his best year. And is he turning into more of just a strictly defensive third baseman? I think there's some question marks around Bregman. Tristan Casas, really good rookie year in 2023, big time down year in 2024. Is he good, or was the 2023 season just an anomaly? Masataka Yoshida, he was okay last year, not great, not a world beater. Trevor Story, a lot of people are penciling him in for a great season. He's played 69 games in the 3 seasons he's been under contract with the Red Sox. Like, the guy can't stay healthy. I think he's a big question mark. And you're playing him at shortstop. That's a physically demanding position. Can he maintain the load for a 160-game season or whatever? Weiler Abreu won the Gold Glove in right field last year. Great defender. Can he hit? He didn't hit at all last year. So I think there's more question marks than maybe people realize with this team. Yes, you have Devers, Duran, Bregman. In theory, that is going to be a really good lineup, but I still think there's some question marks on if these guys can actually step up and perform this season.
I kind of feel like there's a lot of bias here, in my opinion. I kind of feel like you're poking a lot of holes because you are a Yankee fan. And that's okay.
You have a lot of guys They
But
either don't have a sustained track record of success at the major league level, or you have guys that have been injured at the
okay,
major leagues. Walker Buehler,
but
Trevor
but but
Story. I think there's
but,
more question marks than other teams in this division,
but
honestly.
I just think. But I'm going to say this. I just think by adding Garrett Crochet into this, I think it kind of puts everybody in their role. Did they have an ace last year? Who was the ace of the Red Sox?
They didn't really have an ace, but they had a bunch of
Oh,
really
right.
good pitchers.
Okay. They have an ace. So your Tanner Hoke, Nick Pavetta, all those guys were in different roles. Now they're going to be in more natural roles, so they don't
Well,
have to play
Pavetta's
all.
gone. He's in San
Yeah,
Diego.
that's what I'm saying. They had guys that typically you don't jump off the page, but they're pitching great. Then Liam Hendrick, you have Aroldis Chapman, which Aroldis Chapman, for as much as you get PTSD, and as much you want to shoot down that he's old and whatever, like the dude still pitches gas for one, and he's still a sought out commodity. Like this dude always has a contract for some reason somewhere.
Well, yeah, he was great last year.
Okay,
And
but
what
that's what
was
I'm
he in
saying.
Pittsburgh throwing 103? Yeah, but
But he,
he is a year older. You know,
but
he's
he always,
37. I
but he
think there's
always,
question marks there.
but he always has a place to pitch. He was pitching in Kansas City. He was one. He got traded to Texas. He was played in Pittsburgh. Like dudes played everywhere. So I don't get that whole deal. I mean, they're deep pitching wise. Like, yeah, Walker Bueller, yeah. I mean, we have our concerns, but at the same time, they're not asking him to be like the Walker Bueller before Tommy John. They're not asking for that. And I think he pitched pretty damn well in the playoffs. I mean,
He
I
was
think
good. I mean, he was good in the World Series against the Yankees. I think he had a couple bad starts in the DS and CS. And I mean, right now, Fangraphs has him penciled in as the third starter, with probably the opportunity to move up to the second starter if Houck doesn't have a good season. And Crochet, like I said, he's the one arm that I feel really solid about. I think he's pretty much a sure thing. But
but
everyone
just,
else, I think there's question marks in that
but just think
rotation.
about it. It's hard to come back from the case of Walker Bueller. Last year was his first year coming back from injury. So now that he has a year back, he's able to recuperate. He's able to go back, know what works and what doesn't work. I feel like he'll be a better pitcher. And Boston's pitching lab has done a really good job last year compared to the Dodgers pitching lab, which the Dodgers pitching lab, no disrespect. Like, look at all their pitchers. What has happened to Dodgers pitchers?
Yeah, they've gotten hurt.
They've gotten hurt. So let's do that for one. Willie Abreu, he hit the ball really well when he came up. So, and they're not, and he's penciled in as a 7-hole hitter. I don't think that's bad. Trevor Story, good defense. Alex Bregman, good defense. We know Rafael Devers is going to swing the bat well. And then if the bats don't work out, they have ammunition to go get bats, and they're not going to be scared. So, I just think Bregman, with the way his swing works and how everything like his swing is and his defense, he's just going to be a machine. It's all about just getting people on base. And last year, their whole lineup hit over 250, except for Rafael. And it's one full year of MLB service time. So you expect, kind of in the same scenario with the Orioles, you expect them to grow and become better pro ball players.
And what happened with the Orioles last year?
Gunnar Henderson was an MVP candidate. Adley Rushman is still probably the best catcher in baseball.
He struggled.
Still the best catcher in baseball.
Jackson Holiday came up, number 1 overall prospect, wasn't good, got sent down.
But you can't compare that because who's Boston bringing up this year right now?
Roman Anthony.
But is he starting right now? Is he going to be starting opening day?
Not on Fangraphs, but people think he's going to make the team. Kristian Campbell, same thing. People think he might be their starting second baseman.
But he's not going to start. The whole point is, it's like you cannot compare the Jackson Holiday to these guys. My whole point is, all those Oriole guys, like for as much like as they didn't reach expectations at the end of the year, they grew from prior. Anthony Santander, career year. Adley Rushman, still probably the best catcher in the game at the most demanding position. Gunnar Henderson, MVP candidate. Colton Cowser was swinging bombs all last year. And who else is left?
Well, I think they have a problem with their infield is too crowded, especially if Bregman is playing third. Because right now, if Devers is playing third, because then they have Bregman slotted in at second, and you got Story at short. I mean, between Bregman and Story, that's $62 million. And Story's got 4 years of team control, but the fourth year is a club option. He's at 23 AAV over the course of that deal. I don't know if they really are going to be able to find a trade suitor for Story right now with the way he's been hurt.
It's the
And
Red Sox.
so that kind of blocks Marcelo Mayer with Bregman and Story in the infield. And well, that blocks Campbell and Meyer. And then in the outfield, I think you have more of a chance to see Roman Anthony up than the other two because there's more spots for him. Like if Weiler Abreu isn't hitting, I mean, he's only in his second full season as a major leaguer. I think he has some options. They'd probably send him down. Duran, it really is the only guy in that outfield right now that I feel solid about. That's going to be there for the entirety of the season, honestly.
And I disagree with all that because I just think if there's a player who's good enough, they'll find their way on the roster. I mean, if somebody is good enough and better than that player at that position, they will find a way to play you for one, and they will find a way to get that player out.
Boston, so you think they're going to find a way to get rid of Trevor Story, Alex Bregman, or Rafael Devers? I mean, they're not going to trade Bregman; they just got him. So realistically, you think they can get rid of Devers or Story? I don't know who in the world is taking on that Story contract right now.
I mean, they're eating $13 million off the Eric Hosmer contract right now. So, I mean, hey, Boston has deep pockets. Yankees ate up Aaron Hicks's contract. I mean, they'll find a way. These are bigger payroll teams. And Alex Cora is not afraid to make big moves. Like, for everything that you're pointing out, I'm very not concerned on the Masataka Yoshida. He's a great basketball skills. He's going to be a singles machine. And I just think they have a good blend of youth and old that they're going to be doing a good transition into the new and out with the old. And I think they're going to win a lot of ball games. And if they need an arm like a Dylan Cease or a Michael King, they have the pieces and they won't be afraid to do it.
You think they'd be willing to trade one of their top guys?
Yeah, or finding a way to get rid of somebody else. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if San Diego needs, cheap MLB guys with how their situation is, that you could trade a Willer Abreu and a prospect or two and get a Dylan Cease back.
I think they would be willing to move Campbell and Meyer over Anthony. I think Anthony's going to be really good.
I'm saying you traded an MLB guy for MLB guy.
Okay.
Because I think San Diego
can do that too.
And I mean, San Diego's window is technically still open, so you have to maximize that window to maximize that window. So you have to move. So I just really think your argument on that there's so many holes, I think it's overblown to an extent, and I just think that yes, there are concerns, but there's not as big as that. Yes, pitching can be a concern, but I just think their lineup is too good to not be good next year.
Who's the MVP candidate in that lineup?
Devers. I'm a big Devers guy. Lefty bat. He mashes bombs. He's incredible. I'm just always been a Devers guy.
Yeah, he's a great power bat. I think he should be DHing, to be honest. But I think they kind of got to figure out what their best lineup looks like in the early part of the season.
They'll do that. They'll be all right. They got one of the best in the game. They got Alex Cora back.
Okay, let me ask you this: Yankees lineup or Red Sox lineup?
Right now,
without Stanton.
Yankees.
Okay, Yankee or Red Sox or Orioles?
Push.
Okay, and then let's go to the rotation.
I lean Orioles, but push.
Yankees or Red Sox rotation?
Actually, give me Orioles.
For lineup over Red Sox?
Yeah.
And then rotation, Yankees or Red Sox?
Yankees 100%.
And then you would probably take Boston over Baltimore's rotation, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I think Boston has the second best pen in the division.
Wow, that's bullish considering they were 24th in ERA amongst their bullpen last year.
I just think Hendricks and Chapman are going to fix a lot of things, and I just think they're going to get a lot of things straightened out.
Okay,
I'm not a believer in Baltimore with the end of game with Bautista, Tommy John. Baltimore has a lot of things to work out.
Baltimore does have a lot of question marks. I think this team has more question marks than maybe people are saying right now because it's spring training and hope springs eternal. No one's seeing the flaws, but I think once we are a month or two into the season, people realize, okay, maybe this team isn't going to win 95 games. I still think they're going to be good. They're going to be one of the better teams in the American League for sure. I think there's more question marks than people realize right now. That's all.
They won 81 games with whatever they had last year. And
whatever they had. I mean, they had a really good starting rotation, even if they didn't necessarily have any stars. They had an all-star in Jared Duran.
But they're deeper this year. They have 7 starters, a bunch of minor leaguers ready to influx energy and new blood. And their only major losses, in my opinion, would be Tyler O'Neill, Nick Pivetta. I mean, yes, Kenley Jansen does hurt, but I mean, he did add Aroldis Chapman. What else? Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a bunch of young guys coming in. You added Bregman and Pivetta. You add Walker Buehler in there and Garrett Crochet.
I just see a lot of guys that have been hurt, haven't been playing their best baseball. Like Alex Bregman last year, 260 batting average, way worse than his career average. 315 OBP, about 51 points worse than his career average. OPS plus 118, 14 points less than his career average. Like, it was not a good year. He still won the Gold Glove at third base, and I think that's why you want to have the dude at third base. But he had a 4.1 WAR, which was his worst since 2021 when he only played 91 games. So really, full season, that was his worst WAR since 2017.
Just
his second year in the league.
Don't sleep on the Red Sox. That's all I'll say. Don't sleep on them. I mean, they won 81 and 81. DraftKings, not sponsored, bet responsibly. Over under is 86.5.
I think I know the way you're going.
I think they get 88, 89.
Okay. I think they're 84, 85 under.
I'm taking the over. I like Boston. I like what they're building. And they got Mr. Cora back there. Pedigree. They got championship DNA with Bregman also. Give me the over.
Okay. You got the trash can bangers back in the dugout together.
100% trash can bangers. Hey, they win. Maybe they go get Carlos Correa and screw it and just get the whole band back together.
Go get George Springer.
Yeah, why not? Just get them all back together. One last run. Maybe you get Altuve out of left field in Houston and get him at second.
Yeah.
Reignite the Boston Yankee series and make Boston Houston South.
That is one thing that I'm kind of actually looking forward to this season, even though I don't like the Red Sox. I don't like when they're good, but I do like when that rivalry is intense. And I have a feeling there's going to be some heated games between those two this year. So that I do look forward to. I think baseball is just a better sport when those two teams are good. It's the best rivalry we have in baseball. It's kind of like Celtics, Lakers.
Historically.
It is the best rivalry.
Historically, but right now the best rivalry is Yankees Mets right now with the whole.
Nah, I think right now the best rivalry is Dodgers Padres, but I don't know how long that's going to last.
I don't think it's going to last. I think the Padres are going to get smoked in a couple of years. So the Padres might need a retirement home real soon.
Yeah, the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have kind of, I mean, at least the past few years had the upper hand in that rivalry. Last year's DS was great, though. Yankees Red Sox is, I think, fundamentally the best rivalry in the sport. It's like Yankees, or it's like Celtics, Lakers. What's an NFL? Packers, Bears. Even though that, I mean,
the best one a couple years ago, and I'm about to quiz you right now. Do you remember back? I want to say late 2000s, early 10s, those Cubs White Sox rivalries with AJ Pierzynski, Michael Barrett. Like those, they had fights in the games. Like those were electric. Those, you remember those?
Kind of. I mean, that was a random poll.
Mark Burley on the White Sox. Who else? I think Derek Lee, Carlos Zambrano.
Yeah.
Those Cub teams. Who's that closer who y'all hated? Not
Who's y'all?
yeah, the Cubs. Carlos Marmol. Remember him?
Yeah, of course.
Because he went through Carlos Marmol, and there's times with Pedro Strop. You know.
I don't know. I mean, either way, Yankees, Red Sox, the sport's better when that rivalry is good.
Hey, I'm just saying this. Yankees Mets is going to be electric. And I just think Bregman also is going to add a lot of fuel to the fire into that series.
Yeah, he's great, you know. We'll see if he can get back to kind of the form he was at his peak in like 2019, 2023. We'll see.
His metrics look great. The reason I'm not like out on him because I looked at his numbers, and sometimes you look at the numbers, it's like you look at the sticker price on cars, like, oh, why is it that cheap? But then when you look deeper, you're like, oh, I'm actually getting a good deal. And some of the like deep metrics and like exit velos and whatnot, like he's bound for some positive regression.
That would be called progression. Yeah. Positive regression or just progression. Yeah.
Upward trajectory.
There's
a reason why I'm not a finance guy. So
I don't even think that's finance. I just think that's English.
All right. Well,
sorry. I don't mean to knock on you there.
All right. Well, where are we going next? Are we getting on another plane again? We're going to San Diego, right?
Yeah, cross country flight going to San Diego.
Dude, why the hell did you do this? Like, why do you make us go left, right, left, right, left, right?
Because we're in the new Big Ten. We fly cross country.
New Big Ten. All right, cool. I'll get on and be screw this like Mick Cronin talked about the other day. So, but thank you for listening to another edition of the Locked In Sports Podcast. This was the Boston Red Sox team season preview for 2025. We got William Locke signing off right here. Any closing notes?
Nothing. Under.
I got the over. We're dropping San Diego tomorrow. Catch y'all in 24 hours.
Peace out.